Now let's go and check out this last story real quick. And I got to put the hat on. So y'all already know when I put this hat on, it means that what I'm about to play or what we're about to hear, it's giving me cause to pause as to whether I believe the authenticity or the veracity of a person's story. This story is giving them a fib is being told to me. So let's go ahead and check out this second story. Um, Absolutely interesting, but I'm gonna tell y'all why this story falls apart for me. Y'all let me know what y'all think.
Now to a developing.
I'm actually gonna play this one all the way through. 3 minutes, 8 seconds. Play it all the way through, then we're gonna talk about it.
Big story here in the city. The Manhattan DA's office now investigating a scandal at the NYPD. The city's top uniformed cop resigned Friday night. Former Chief of Department Jeffrey Maddre is accused of trading sexual favors in exchange for overtime. It comes after another female captain accused Maddre of sexual harassment. Derek Waller has more.
Jessica, disturbing allegations that have now gotten the attention of the city's Department of Investigation, as well as the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. A subordinate of Jeffrey Maddre says she was coerced into performing sex acts in exchange for overtime benefits, and she says that abuse continued until this week.
I've been in the department a long time.
That's former Chief of Department Jeffrey Maddre answering questions at a city council hearing this past Monday. The same day, Lieutenant Special Assignment Quathisha Epps alleges in this EEOC complaint, Maddre offered to speak to the commissioner on her behalf about a personnel matter, but first demanded she, quote, kiss it, the complaint says, referring to his penis. She then decided to retire early. Lieutenant Epps says starting in June 2023, Maddre engaged in efforts to coerce her into performing unwanted sexual favors in exchange for overtime opportunities. According to publicly available payroll data, Epps made a salary last year of over $164,000. But after overtime was factored in, she took home more than $400,000, making her the department's highest paid employee. After refusing his advances in October, she says, Maddre retaliated by orchestrating an intentionally manipulated monthly overtime report, which resulted in a criminal and internal investigation opened against her. The complaint dropping days after Maddre was added to a lawsuit involving Captain Gabrielle Walls, who alleges he sexually harassed her. Systemic failures within the NYPD allowed Chief Maddre's predatory behavior to continue unchecked, Lieutenant Epps' attorney writes in the complaint. Mayor Adams' office responding saying, we are deeply disturbed by these allegations, and the NYPD is investigating this matter. Mayor Adams is working in close coordination with Police Commissioner Tisch as the NYPD conducts a separate department-wide review to ensure no high-ranking officers are using their power inappropriately. We will refrain from commenting further to avoid jeopardizing either investigation. And Chief of Patrol John Chell is now going to take over as interim Chief of Department. In Lower Manhattan, Derek Waller, CBS News, New York.
And another big shakeup at the.
All right. Don't. That's funny. It's all right. Hey, Saddle Seeker, don't ruin it for us, okay? Let me talk through it first, and then we'll see if it's already been debunked. I'm gonna see if we can find a story about why it's capped. But before, let's go ahead and just point out the flaws and or deficiencies that we collectively see in this story. So shout out to you for that comment. Hey, a round of applause to everybody. But let's talk about it. So you have top cop, you have employee, lower level cop who makes about $165,000 a year. They received over $200,000 in overtime. So they essentially made over $400,000 the last calendar year. That was the highest of any cop in the city of New York, which was the reason that the investigation occurred. It's just data analytics. If I'm looking at healthcare fraud in the Medicare program, the first thing I would do is let me take a look at the healthcare providers who billed Medicaid, the 10 top billers for Medicaid over the past 5 years. So they probably looked at who was clocking the most overtime over the past 3 years, and they saw this big ass number and was like, whoa, she made over $400,000 and her salary is $165, and the top cop makes $292. Something is going on. So we know what's going on here. Essentially, She's getting overtime. Everything is fine and dandy until an investigation is done or is being conducted into her actual overtime, right? Now that the investigation is being done into her overtime, she scrambling around like, wait. I know I got a lot of overtime, but it's because I felt pressure because wanted to he wanted some yams in exchange for overtime. Now I'll tell you, this is just me, and apparently the overtime work that was being done was actual no work at all. But my initial thoughts were, man, that's kind of garbage. If you trade for overtime, you're trading for the right to work. That's crazy. That means like, yo, you must be working with some garbage if you're trading that for the right to work more. Like you should be trading that for a bonus. So at first I was like, yo, this isn't making any sense. But then when I stood back and looked at it from an objective standpoint, I was like, wait, we would have never found out about this had she not been getting investigated for her BS overtime. The only reason she's even implicating this guy is because she was being investigated for potential criminal conduct. So she passed the buck on him. That makes absolutely no sense at all to me personally. So I have a suspicion about he. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. She's flipped the script and got her in trouble for all the overtime he approved. Hey, if he couldn't even approve the overtime, now, this is generally what happened. This is what I think happened. You all let me know. Just when I heard it, it just doesn't make any sense, right? Because one, I mean, her name is Quatisha, so I'm skeptical to believe whatever she say anyway. I'm just going to be honest. But what Quatisha told on him and said he is eliciting for favors for overtime. Had she not been investigated, we would have never heard about any of this. So one of two things happen. Normally, they're in the workplace. Some type of relationship probably started between them. I would be willing to bet. I would be willing to bet my house that there is some form of text messages. There is some form of communication between them two that's indicative of this not being a forceful thing, but it's clearly something that's consensual. It just makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why would he? I don't know. I can't fathom why would he risk his job doing that when he has this cushy job making 292, and the only thing that's weird is he resigned. If this didn't happen, I would have been like, no, you shouldn't resign. But someone told me that he resigned. One of my boys told me that they said he resigned because he recently like passed the bar. He's going to be practicing law or something to that effect. But this story is BS. I think that she's lying. I think that they had a mutual relationship. It was mutual agreement that clappage would commence. Sometime during the clappage relationship, maybe there was some willing to provide overtime, but he attempted to cover his bases as he's not, as you say, he's not the approving authority. So he's thinking, how could this ever blow back on me? So at the end of the day, I think all of them are terrible people. I think she's terrible. She's trying to retire now early before the investigation comes into light. Everybody here is messy. I think if there are charges to be had and they can find communication, she definitely committed a crime. Without a shadow of a doubt, I think she probably did something like 16 to 1800 hours of overtime in a year at an administrative job. She actually not even on the out with the public on the beat, like arresting people. She's like behind a desk. I don't know what desk job requires 1600 to 1800 extra hours a year. That's like attorneys have to work like 1800 hours at firms to qualify for their bonus for an entire year. So this is actually a crazy ass story. It sounds like a love affair gone wrong. I agree 100%. Let me see. Okay, they had specific people in NYPD allowed. He is not allowed. I think it was just mutual cheek clappage going on. She was finessing the overtime system. He might have had some leverage into her getting that overtime, but he think he had coverage because he wasn't the signatory authority over that overtime. But I'm willing to bet my entire 401k that there's probably communication between her and him that's indicative of this being a consensual cheek clappage agreement. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not a fan of her trying to take the route. Well, now that I'm getting caught, like, nah. I read another report where it said that she was on the verge of like losing her home. So she was on the verge of losing her home. She had a reason to actually engage in this overtime scheme because she was the one who was about to lose his home. She was in financial dire straits, not him. I think this whole story is some BS, mutual agreement. Something about her being investigated and she needed to blame someone else. I agree with that 100%. Like, yeah. And then the other thing is too, like, I maybe mentioned it on this channel. Hold, let me see. Let me go through some of these comments. Oh my goodness. There's a hold on. Let me see if I can find it. So this is new information that came out today. Harley, what's good? What's good, brother? It started out consensual, then it fell apart. Finger pointing begins. And that's not a ride or die right there. Like, like, bruh, what do you think is going to happen? As a general rule, fellas, ladies, you can't let the front part of your pants interfere with what's in your wallet in the back part. That's just that's just me. I mean, I don't care how fine or gorgeous or how much you may blush at me. If it's something that can impact my livelihood, that's absolutely 100 million% never going to happen because I got to be able to eat. That's it. Oh, it was a press conference today. Now let me look. Why would he leave the letter in the car? Now I'm about to look real quick and let me see if I can find this video. Oh, let me see. Let me see if I can Google it and get the update. Because I guarantee you that yeah, I would bet the barn that this is consensual. Let's see. And when was this? That was 1 day ago. 8 hours ago. Okay. Let's see. All right, let's see if we can find the video. That's gonna be easier. I think I found it. Let's see if we can find the video real quick before we get up out of here. But yeah, she full of crap, and I don't know. That's an actual terrible story. He can't authorize overtime. Yo, shout out to. I mean, the biggest mistake that he made was he was thinking with the wrong head. Clearly, he should have been a lot smarter than that. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, here we go. This is all right. We're going. All right. I think we got it. Give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and cue this up. I think we found it. I'm not believing her. I wasn't believing her with the story, and now see, I'm late. I was like, hey, I'm trying to go through this story. I wasn't believing her with the story. Let's go ahead and check this.
Former NYPD Chief Jeffrey Maddre showing his face for the first time publicly since he resigned last week amid allegations of sexual misconduct. As Lori Bornaro reports, he appeared with his attorney who called Maddre's relationship with his accuser consensual.
Former NYPD Chief Jeffrey Maddre showing no emotion as he stood quietly by his attorney who denied allegations Maddre traded sexual favors for overtime.
Those allegations are a lie.
Maddre, once the NYPD's highest-ranking officer, resigned last Friday. NYPD Lieutenant Quathisha Epps filed a complaint Saturday with the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission, alleging Maddre engaged in a more than year-long effort to coerce her into performing unwanted sexual favors in exchange for overtime opportunities, including intercourse in the office.
Lieutenant Epps had a consensual adult relationship, albeit for a short time, with Jeff.
Maddre's attorney referring to Epps as a self-professed swinger. He says he has evidence, including texts and racy photos and videos she sent to the former chief, initiating the relationship. He also claims Epps, who filed for retirement earlier this month, has been under investigation by the Internal Affairs Bureau since October for excessive overtime she never worked. According to payroll records, Epps earned $400,000 with more than $200,000 in overtime last year.
Lieutenant Epps got caught with her hand in the cookie jar and is trying to deflect her wrongdoing by making these allegations against Chief Maddre in the hopes that she'll get away with part or all of her scheme.
Maddre's attorney also says only supervisors, not chiefs, are in charge of signing off on overtime. He says his client, now a practicing attorney, plans to fight the allegations.
Without the constraints of the NYPD, he's going to take the gloves off and fight for his good name.
We reached out to Epps' attorney multiple times for comment, but so far have not heard back.
Hey, and real quick, shame on her attorney for actually taking this case. I wish Quatisha would have came in my office with this bullshit. I'd have been like, well, bro, what? This don't even make any sense. I agree. That's funny. You said she's a swinger, then it was like she's a swinger. As soon as you said it, they said it. I agree with that 100%. Like, yo, if you shouldn't resign if you didn't do it, you got evidence out there. There's no way. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, if it's a consensual cheek clappage agreement, there is no way that there's not going to be some form of evidence that's out there to prove that it's consensual. So she was in financial dire straits. She needed the money. He didn't approve it. She never said anything about it prior to her getting investigated. Now she's getting investigated and pointing her finger and saying that I did it, but I did it because I felt obligated to do it because of the imbalance in power. Like, come on. Like, nah. Stop the cap. We don't believe you. It's terrible. And trust me, like, I don't know, sounds like Tiffany and Dalton Police Department working around the clock, making it forget. That's facts. Yeah, and that's kind of the I think I read somewhere if she resigns now, even though it's kind of an early out, she'll still get something like $16,000 a month and like a compensation package or something crazy like that. So hey, if you could resign, I think she's losing like, I don't know, $12,000, $15,000, but it breaks down to she'll still get $16,000 a month. So I mean, if you could resign and avoid all of this hassle and potentially something that'll jam up your ability to get your pension, I mean, I think it's smart for her to resign. If I was him, I wouldn't have resigned. Though. If I didn't do it, like, nah, bro, we're gonna have to. Yeah, she never. And that's what I thought. It's funny, bro. At first, I was like, "What? You gave that up for the right to do more work? What the hell's wrong with you?" But then when I looked into it, I was like, "Oh yeah, it was just kind of a like, yeah." I don't think she did any of the extra overtime work for an administrative job. I think it was just one of those things like, this is what your compensation is. The person who should really have their head on the swivel is whoever the hell signed off on the overtime. That's the person who need to have their head on the swivel right now, because that's going to be the person right in the targets of any investigation. Let's see. She was getting her cheeks slapped and got a piece of it. Hey, over $200,000, and she probably didn't do anything in the overtime. She probably didn't even show up, like sit at the desk just for those hours. Yeah. Nah, I'd throw her ass in jail. I'm sorry. She needs to go into jail. Theft of overtime is a finesse. Anybody who I can prove was in this conspiracy, they gonna catch a conspiracy charge. All y'all going away.